Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ben Lepper, administrator here at Intersection Ministries, and I'd like to welcome you to our Growing at Home devotional. Many who are just beginning to explore faith or Christianity have some very legitimate questions about the dynamics between human beings and God. And our text for today highlights a reality which often causes a bit of confusion in people who are exploring the Bible for the first time. So, our verse for reflection today will be in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 20, and it reads, But he said, You cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. A question I've been asking numerous times is, if God is real, why can't people see him? And it's not just the visual reality of being able to see things, but it's also the mental and emotional reality of literally placing something which cannot be seen above very real things that can be seen. Imagine for a moment how it sounds to people when they hear the message, claim Jesus as your Lord and Savior and value God above all else in your life. We've just asked people to value an invisible God more than an invisible spouse, an invisible husband, or a visible husband and wife. We've just asked people to demote their children in place of something that they have never seen, let alone actually given birth to, such as a child. And this is a colossal expectation that often gets glossed over in Christian circles, the assumption of placing God at the head of your whole value system, and people can't even see God to begin with, is often a question and a reality that doesn't receive adequate or appropriate treatment in people's beginning stages of faith. But anyway, back to the text. There is a theological reason why humans can't see God. There's a reason why God had to shield Moses from seeing him. And maybe this reason won't be acceptable to people or be seen as insufficient in some regards, but this is the best explanation that the Ivory Tower theological community has arrived at. And that is that God's purity is such that impurity is incompatible in God's presence. Think of this. A container of boiling water is incompatible with ice cubes, right? If an ice cube gets near boiling water, it will melt away every time without exception. And this analogy has obvious limitations, but you can see the point here. God's purity will, in a sense, vaporize any sin which enters God's presence, which is why Moses could not be allowed to see God's face. Ever since the fall in Eden, creation became contaminated by sin, and throughout the Old Testament, we see these incredible scenes in which God comes down to creation, and there are claps of thunder, bolts of lightning, earthquakes, etc. And this is because anything that isn't in sync with God's holiness will have trouble being in God's presence, even creation itself. We can't see God because if we did, we would not survive. We will one day, when we are fully redeemed by Christ in paradise, but today, when we look around and we can't look upon God's face, we're in a strangely kind of kindred moment with Moses, who wanted to see God as well. See, theologically, we can't see God because it would destroy us. But more personally, we shouldn't see God because what room does that leave for faith? If we uncover every mystery of the universe, what room is left for faith or for hope? There's little voluntary faith involved in following the will of something so blatantly obvious that there's no searching needed, right? God invites us to pursue a relationship with him, to get to know him on a soul level. And when we are operating at the soul level, sometimes the eyes just aren't the best tools for the job. So from all of us here at Intersection Ministries, to you, have a blessed day. Blessings.